welcome to this episode of Geeky Baker Baking. Today you're going to be making the most delicious Swiss meringue buttercream. Now I love this recipe. It is the only kind of frosting that I will eat seriously. So for this recipe you are going to need 6 room temperature egg whites. I know if room temperature scares you, you can get by without room temperature. Cold eggs straight from the fridge will be just fine. You're also going to need 300 grams of granulated sugar, in addition to 240 grams of confectioner sugar, that's also known as powdered sugar, 310 grams of shortening, 310 grams of butter, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. You can use vanilla extract or you can use vanilla bean paste, which is what I use. I love the flavor, it's great. And then you're also going to need 1/4 of a teaspoon of cream of tartar. The first things you're going to need for your Swiss meringue buttercream are going to be 6 large egg whites with no yolk whatsoever, because if there's any type of fat in this, including inside of your bowl, then your egg whites are not going to whip. You're not going to have as fluffy and light a meringue as you should have. You're also going to need 300 grams of regular good old granulated sugar and 1/4 of a tablespoon of cream of tartar. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you a little bit more lift chemically. So the first thing you're going to want to do is get a little bit of water boiling in the bottom of a saucepan. And next you're going to take, I always use my KitchenAid mixing bowl for this part because it's metal, but any metal that you have that you could use to put as kind of a double boiler. And what a double boiler is going to do is it's going to slowly heat the bottom of this pan so that not so much direct heat is like an onslaught towards the stuff that you're going to put in. So it's a really slow melting method for chocolate. Now, once you have everything into your mixing bowl, you are going to just begin stirring that with your hand. And you want this to melt. It's going to take on a frothy kind of color eventually. Sorry, I had a few camera technical difficulties, but this is actually already done. So what you would do normally is put this all into your bowl and you're going to mix and mix and mix and mix and mix until it is completely smooth. Now, you absolutely have to make sure that your hands are impeccably clean if you're using your hand, and your bowl is impeccably clean, not a trace of fat. So I always use an extra strength dishwashing detergent to wash my bowls out, wash my whisks, wash anything else. So what you're going to be looking for is a thick, smooth consistency from your meringues. Just make sure when you're mixing this that you keep it constantly moving so that you don't get any hot spots, you don't get any pieces where you get egg burned, and this is going to become nice and delicious eventually for you to whip up into a beautiful meringue to mix with your buttercream. So if it gets too hot, you can always start to feel, that's why I like to do this with my hand, you can feel when it's getting too hot, so you just take it off, let it sit for a minute as you're continuing to stir it. Then once you get it to the proper temperature, I always say 110 degrees is the best for this. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and put that mixture into your mixing bowl. And I've already got that started a little bit. So I'm just going to turn that on to high and let it whip. So now you can see we're starting to get to a much frothier consistency. And at this point, they're probably soft peaks. I'm going to go ahead and add my cream of tartar. And I'm going to turn it back on high and let that go. Now, at this point, you're going to want to lower that arm. And you're going to take a spatula of any of your choosing and you are just going to scrape down the sides to make sure that you have everything nicely incorporated. This is sticky stuff. So you want to make sure that you don't put this down on top of anything. And give it another whirl. Now this is the consistency that we're going to be looking for. So you take your whip attachment off, give it a little bit of a twirl there, and when you pull it off, you are going to have some nice stiff peaks. Okay, you get that little edge, that little there, but it's really not going anywhere. So these are good stiff peaks for a good meringue. Next step, you are going to add in your confectioner sugar. And some people say you should add it in slowly, but I just dump it all in at once. The only thing now is you have to make sure that you turn this on very slowly, or else you'll get covered in confectioner sugar. Don't worry, you're still going to get covered in confectioner sugar, no matter how hard you try. So once you see that the bulk of it has been incorporated, kick it up a notch. When you don't see anything flying, go ahead and just kick it full throttle. Now it's about done. So you're gonna take your spatula, lower your mixing bowl, or have access to your mixing bowl, however you can. And you are gonna just scrape that down again, just to make sure that you don't have any hidden pockets of deliciousness. I'm gonna rotate that. So now, you are looking at a very thick, very delicious meringue. And give it one last couple spins. And your meringue portion is completed. So next I'm going to run my mixer on a medium speed. And as I do that, I'm going to be adding a little bit of butter, a little bit of shortening. Just let that mix for a minute. Then I'm going to add a whole stick of butter. Said it was delicious, not healthy. Then I'm going to add another chunk of shortening. Take it up to high for just a second. Oh yeah, you can see it's already coming together. Add my last stick of butter. And that right there is why it's important to have room temperature butter. That will incorporate so much more easily. And then we're going to add our last chunk of shortening. It's not necessary to get it all over your mixture, but it does help. Not really. So kick it up to high. Just like before. We're going to scrape down the sides of the bowl so that everything is incorporated nicely. And then, final touch, we are going to add Madagascar vanilla bean paste. 1 full tablespoon, please. You can absolutely use vanilla extract or even imitation vanilla extract, but I don't recommend it. It doesn't have as rich a flavor. Go ahead and give that and you are done. Beautiful, rich, delicious buttercream. You can put that on anything.